Princess Liara stood on the balcony of the Grand Palace, her eyes fixed on the twin suns setting over the horizon. The sky was painted with shades of gold and crimson, reflecting off the sparkling rivers that twisted like silver threads across her planet, Valira. The wind gently lifted her long, pale blue hair, carrying the scent of alien flowers from the royal gardens below. Though her people cheered her for her wisdom and grace, Liara felt a quiet unease in her heart. Valira had always been a peaceful planet. Its forests were lush, mountains tall and seas wide, yet in the council chambers the elders spoke often of the prophecy of the true husband. The prophecy told of a warrior who would come from the stars, someone strong and wise, who would save Valira in a time of great danger. Liara had grown up hearing stories of this warrior, yet she had never believed it would actually happen. "Your Highness," said Marin, her chief advisor, breaking her thoughts. He was an older alien with green, scaled skin and silver eyes. "The sensors report an unidentified vessel approaching the planet. It does not match the profile of any known species nearby." Liara straightened her posture. "A human vessel, perhaps?" she asked quietly. Humans were rare visitors in this sector. Few trusted them, and even fewer understood their strange ways. Marin shook his head. "We cannot confirm, Princess, but it is large and heavily armed. Protocol requires that we remain cautious." Liara nodded, her heart beating faster than usual. She had heard humans were unpredictable, sometimes violent, sometimes honorable. The stories were conflicting, but she could not deny a strange feeling stirring in her chest, a sense that something important had arrived. The next hour was tense. The alien council debated whether to confront the vessel or allow it to approach freely. Liara, though young, had learned the ways of leadership. She spoke calmly but firmly. "We will not attack first. Let them show their intentions. If they come in peace, we will welcome them. If not, we will defend our people." The council murmured in agreement, though some looked doubtful. Outside, the stars glimmered, and the mysterious vessel slowly descended into Valira's upper atmosphere. It was unlike any craft the aliens had seen before, sleek, metallic, with soft blue lights running along its edges. On board, Commander Jarek sat in the control seat. His dark hair fell slightly over his forehead, and his piercing brown eyes scanned the readings. Humans were few in this part of the galaxy, and his presence here was unusual. His mission was simple: deliver a diplomatic message to Valira's leaders. Yet circumstances had forced him to land, and now he faced the unknown. Jarek's reputation was known among human forces. He was brave, quick-thinking, and loyal, yet he had never expected to meet an alien princess who would challenge not only his skill, but also his heart. As he prepared to exit the ship, he could sense the weight of countless eyes on him, watching, judging. He drew a deep breath and stepped forward. The landing was smooth, and the ship's ramp extended with a quiet hiss. Liara and a group of royal guards waited nearby, their weapons at the ready but held low in a gesture of peace. When Jarek stepped onto the surface, his human form was striking against the alien landscape. Broad-shouldered, tall, and wearing a simple uniform, he carried himself with confidence but without arrogance. Liara felt her breath catch for a moment. She did not understand why, but seeing him made something stir deep within her. The prophecy, the stories she had been told, suddenly felt closer to reality than ever before. "Welcome to Valira," Liara said, her voice steady though her heart raced. "State your purpose, traveler." Jarek bowed slightly, respecting the alien customs he had observed during his approach. "I am Commander Jarek of the United Earth Federation," he said clearly. "I come in peace and seek to speak with your council." The royal guards shifted slightly, whispering among themselves. Many were wary of humans, fearing their unpredictability. Yet they could not ignore the courage and composure Jarek displayed. Marin stepped forward. "Commander, you are aware that Valira is not easily approached. Many have tried to deceive us in the past. Why should we trust you?" Jarek met Marin's gaze without flinching. "Because my actions will show my intentions more than my words ever could. I did not come here to conquer or harm. I came to help." Liara studied him closely. There was a sincerity in his eyes, a strength in his stance, and something else she could not quite define. It made her heart ache in a way she had never felt before. The prophecy's words echoed in her mind. The one who will protect and guide, the warrior from the stars. Could this be him? Before she could dwell further, a sudden alarm rang through the palace. The sensors had detected a small strike force approaching from the planet's north ridge. Pirates. They had been raiding nearby settlements, and their timing could not have been worse. Liara's heart sank. "We must act," she said, turning to her guards. "Commander Jarek, will you fight alongside us?" Jarek nodded without hesitation. "I am trained to defend those in need. I will stand with you." The battle was chaotic but brief. The pirates had underestimated the coordination of Valera's defenders and the tactical mind of Jarek. Using clever maneuvers and quick decisions, he led the defense, minimizing casualties and pushing the attackers back. His ability to read the battlefield and predict enemy movements impressed not only the soldiers, but also Liara herself. When the battle ended, the princess walked among her people, checking for injuries. She found Jarek standing calmly near the edge of the field, his uniform slightly scuffed but his posture unwavering. "You fought well," Liara said, approaching him. "You risked yourself to protect my people." "Few would do that." Jarek bowed his head slightly. "It was the right thing to do. Your people's safety matters." Liara felt a strange warmth spread through her chest. She had expected humans to be unpredictable, perhaps even reckless, but this man, he was different. Brave, honorable, and thoughtful. And yet there was something more. Something about him felt familiar. That night, as the twin moons rose, Liara could not sleep. She returned to the balcony, gazing at the stars. Jarek had requested to meet her the next day to discuss diplomatic matters, but Liara's mind wandered. Could the prophecy be true? Could this human, so unlike any alien she had known, truly be the one destined to stand by her side? Her thoughts were interrupted by Maren, who had come to ensure she was safe. "Princess, you should rest. Tomorrow will be challenging." Liara nodded, but her mind was restless. "I know, Maren, but there is something about him. I cannot explain it." Maren raised an eyebrow. "Do you believe in the prophecy, Princess?" Liara remained silent for a moment. The prophecy had always been a story for children, a tale of hope and mystery. Yet now, standing on the balcony under the starlit sky, it felt real. The strange pull she felt when she saw Jarek, the courage he showed, the respect in his eyes, it was all too perfect to ignore. I am not sure," she admitted softly, "but I must learn more." The wind carried her words away as the twin moons cast silver light across the palace. Liara did not know what the future held, but she sensed that her life, and perhaps the fate of her planet, was about to change forever. Somewhere among the stars, the warrior from the prophecy had arrived, and with him, a destiny that neither of them could yet understand. And so, the night passed with the promise of new beginnings. On one side of the galaxy, a human warrior stood ready to face the unknown. On the other, an alien princess wondered if the stories of old had finally found their living truth. Tomorrow would bring the answers. And tomorrow the connection between two worlds and two hearts would begin to unfold. The morning sun rose over Valera, casting warm light on the palace towers and gardens. Princess Liara stood in the council chamber, her eyes focused on Commander Jarek. Though the battle with the pirates had ended without loss of life, whispers among the advisors and guards made it clear that not everyone trusted the human. Maren cleared his throat. "Princess, before we consider alliances, the council must ensure Commander Jarek is truly honorable. We cannot ignore the possibility of deception." Liara nodded. "I understand, but I believe actions speak louder than words. Let him prove himself." A murmur ran through the council. Some elders frowned, but others looked curious. They had heard stories of humans being cunning, unpredictable, and sometimes reckless. Yet Jarek's calm courage during the pirate attack had impressed even the most skeptical. Jarek stood tall. "I will face any trial you deem necessary," he said. His voice was steady, respectful, and confident. "I am here to earn your trust. Liara's heart stirred again. Something about the way he spoke, the way he carried himself, made her feel an unfamiliar warmth. But she pushed her feelings aside. She had to be cautious. Prophecies could be misleading and trust must be earned. The first trial began in the forest of Liora, a vast expanse of towering trees, thick vines, and hidden dangers. The council had tasked Jarek with retrieving a rare plant that grew deep within the forest. It was said to have healing properties, but the path was treacherous. Many alien warriors had failed this trial before, proving their courage, skill, and patience. Jarek nodded at Liara. "Lead the way, Princess," he said politely. Liara and her guards watched as he moved through the forest. His steps were careful, his senses alert. Unlike many humans they had encountered, he did not rush or act recklessly. When a poisonous vine blocked his path, he studied it and carefully removed it, without harming nearby plants or himself. At one point, a wild creature, resembling a large feline with shimmering scales, leapt from the shadows. The guards tensed, ready to strike, but Jarek held up his hand. The creature paused, eyes wide, and sniffed the air. Jarek spoke softly, almost in a whisper. The creature tilted its head, then gracefully moved aside, letting him pass. Liara felt her breath catch. His ability to remain calm even with danger near was remarkable. She began to wonder if the prophecy had been speaking of him all along. When Jarek finally retrieved the plant, he presented it to the council without a single bruise or mark. The elders nodded slowly, impressed. One elder whispered, "Perhaps the prophecy was not wrong. But can a human truly stand among us in the trials to come?" The second trial was one of negotiation. A neighboring alien tribe had claimed part of Valira's northern plains, and the council wanted to test Jarek's diplomacy. Liara accompanied him to the tribal council. The tribe's leader, a tall alien with deep amber skin and horned ridges, looked at Jarek with suspicion. "You are a human," he said bluntly. "Your kind does not belong here. Why should we listen to you?" Jarek bowed slightly. "I am not here to conquer or command. I seek understanding and peace. Let us find a solution that benefits all of us." The tribe laughed at first, not taking him seriously, but as Jarek spoke calmly and clearly, suggesting compromises that respected their traditions and needs, the elders began to nod. By the end of the discussion, the tribe agreed to share the land peacefully, impressed by his wisdom and patience. Liara observed quietly. Every word, every gesture seemed to confirm the signs she had felt since his arrival. Still, she struggled with disbelief. Could a human so different from her people really be the one the prophecy spoke of? The final trial was the most dangerous. Liara's palace had been infiltrated by a secret faction seeking to overthrow her rule. They had planned an ambush in the lower city, and the council decided to test Jarek's ability to protect the princess and the people. The city streets were narrow and winding, filled with shadows. Liara and Jarek led a small group of guards through the maze-like paths, knowing that danger could appear at any moment. Suddenly, a group of masked attackers appeared, surrounding them from all sides. Jarek did not panic. He moved with precision, using both human and alien tactics. He coordinated the guards, covering the princess while neutralizing the threat. Each move was calculated, each command clear. The attackers were skilled, but they were unprepared for his strategy and quick thinking. At one point, Liara slipped on a loose stone, and a masked attacker lunged toward her. Without hesitation, Jarek intercepted the strike, pushing her out of harm's way. His hand brushed hers, and for a moment time seemed to pause. Liara's heart raced, not from fear, but from a sudden, undeniable awareness of how close they were connected. When the last attacker was captured, Liara looked at Jarek with a mixture of awe and confusion. You saved me," she whispered. Jarek shook his head slightly. "I protect those in need, Princess. That is all." But Liara knew it was more than that. There was something in the way he moved and the way he acted that felt like destiny. She could not explain it, but the pull she felt toward him was stronger than ever. Back in the palace, the council convened to review the trials. The elders were unanimous in one point. Jarek had proven himself. He had faced danger, shown wisdom, and protected the princess. Yet some remained wary. "He is not one of us," one elder said quietly. "How can we trust a human to hold such influence here?" Liara stood, her voice calm but firm. "Trust is earned through action. Commander Jarek has shown us his courage and honor. That is more than enough for me." Marin nodded, though his expression was unreadable. Your Highness is wise, but caution is still advised. Prophecies can be misleading. The future is not yet certain. Liara's mind wandered as she left the council chamber. She walked to the balcony, looking out at the vast forests and mountains. The stars in the night sky seemed brighter than ever, as if guiding her toward something unknown. She thought of Jarek, the way he moved, spoke, and protected. The way he made her heart feel both calm and alive at the same time. She wondered if the prophecy had indeed been real all along. Perhaps it was not just a story told to children. Perhaps the warrior from the stars had finally arrived and she had met him. Yet even as hope filled her heart, doubt lingered. Could she truly trust a human? Could he truly be the one meant to stand by her side? And what dangers might still lie ahead? Dangers that neither prophecy nor courage could predict. As she turned back toward her chambers, a shadow moved across the balcony. Jarek stood there watching the stars as well. He looked calm, almost serene, yet there was an intensity in his eyes that made Liara's heart skip a beat. "You are thinking about the prophecy," he said softly, his voice carrying in the quiet night. Liara blinked, surprised. I suppose I am." "How did you know?" Jarek smiled faintly. "I have learned that destiny has a way of showing itself to those who pay attention. And I think it has shown itself to you." Liara felt her pulse quicken. There was truth in his words, a weight that she could not ignore. She wanted to speak, to ask questions, but the right words would not come. Instead, she simply nodded, feeling a strange sense of comfort in his presence. "Rest now, Princess," Jarek said. "Tomorrow brings new challenges. But remember, whatever comes, you are not alone." Liara watched him leave, her mind swirling with thoughts. She felt a mixture of excitement, fear, and hope. The trials had proven his skill and honor. The morning sun bathed the palace in soft light. But Princess Liara could not focus on the beauty around her. Her thoughts were tangled with questions about Commander Jarek. The trials had proven his courage, his intelligence, and his honor, yet something deeper tugged at her heart. She could not ignore the feeling that fate itself had brought him to Valera. Marin entered the room, carrying a small ancient scroll sealed with the royal emblem. "Princess, today we discuss the prophecy in detail. The council believes it is time you understand its true meaning." Liara took the scroll with trembling hands. She had always known the prophecy existed, but it had been a story for children, romanticized, distant, and impossible. Yet now, with Jarek here, it felt real. She unrolled the scroll carefully. The symbols glowed faintly under the sunlight. Marin began to speak, translating the old language. "The prophecy states, when darkness rises and the stars are troubled, a warrior from the sky shall come. He shall protect the princess, guide her people, and stand beside her as her rightful husband." Liara read the words silently. She looked up at Marin, her eyes wide. "A human." "Could it be true?" Marin nodded slowly. "It is possible, Princess. Prophecies are never simple. They speak in riddles and signs. Sometimes they reach across worlds." Before Liara could respond, a messenger burst into the room. "Princess!" Scouts report a rogue fleet approaching from the outer system. "They are armed and heading straight for Valera." Liara's heart skipped a beat. Danger was coming faster than anyone had predicted. She turned to the council. "We must prepare our defenses. And Commander Jarek, he must be informed." Jarek was already at the strategy chamber, reviewing the latest scans. His eyes were sharp, calculating every detail. "Princess," he said as she entered, "the fleet is faster than our standard ships, but they are not coordinated. If we can use the terrain and the planetary defenses wisely, we can stop them." Liara studied him. His calm, confident tone reassured her even in the face of danger. The connection she felt was growing stronger, though she tried to hide it behind her royal composure. The council gathered for an urgent meeting. Many elders argued about the best approach. "We should send ambassadors to negotiate," one said. "Violence will only bring more destruction." Another elder shook his head. "We cannot risk diplomacy. They are pirates from the outer rim. They will take what they want and leave devastation behind." Liara listened quietly, her eyes on Jarek. He stepped forward. "We should combine both approaches," he suggested. "Prepare defenses, but also send a small delegation with a clear message. If they are reasonable, we can avoid unnecessary conflict. If not, we will be ready to act decisively." The council murmured in surprise. His plan was simple yet brilliant. It balanced caution with strength. Liara felt a surge of admiration, but also a strange warmth in her chest. She knew the prophecy's words might be more than legend. Preparations began immediately. Jarek worked alongside the alien engineers, adapting human technology to strengthen Valera's defenses. He taught the soldiers new strategies, showing them ways to use the terrain and predict enemy movements. The guards who had once doubted him now followed his commands with trust and respect. As the hours passed, Liara found herself watching him often. The way he moved, the way he spoke with authority yet treated everyone kindly. It was unlike anyone she had ever known. Her feelings were confusing but undeniable. She began to suspect that the prophecy might indeed refer to him. That night, Liara walked through the palace gardens, thinking. The twin moons reflected on the water and the air was calm. Jarek joined her, his steps silent but steady. "You seem restless, princess," he said gently. Liara sighed. "I am thinking about the prophecy. About you. About everything that is happening. I do not know what to believe." Jarek looked at her with soft, steady eyes. Belief is difficult when it involves fate. But actions are clear. I stand here and I will protect you and your people. That is truth enough, isn't it? Liara felt her heart flutter. His words were simple, yet they carried weight. She nodded slowly, unsure how to explain the mix of fear and hope inside her. It feels like something is changing, like destiny is drawing near. Jarek's gaze softened. Perhaps it is. And sometimes destiny chooses the unexpected. It chooses those who are ready to act with courage and heart. Liara's thoughts were interrupted by an urgent call. The outer fleet had entered Valera's atmosphere. Sensors showed dozens of ships, sleek and armed, moving in formation. The palace alarms blared and soldiers rushed to their positions. "Princess, you must stay in the palace," Marin said firmly. "This battle could be dangerous." Liara shook her head. "I cannot hide while my people fight. If we are to survive, we must act together." "Jarek, what do we do?" Jarek's expression was serious. "We organize the defense. You will coordinate from here with the palace sensors and communication network. I will lead the forces outside. Trust me, princess, we will protect Valera." The battle began as dawn broke. Jarek directed the alien forces with precision, blending human tactics with Valera's unique strengths. He coordinated ambushes, positioned artillery, and guided elite squads to defend key points. His understanding of strategy amazed the alien commanders, many of whom had trained for decades in warfare. Liara observed from the palace tower, her heart racing with worry and admiration. Each move Jarek made showed courage and intelligence beyond measure. She felt a strange sense of pride, not just in his skill, but in the bond that seemed to grow between them with each passing moment. Hours into the battle, a group of enemy ships tried to flank the palace. Jarek led a small strike team to intercept them. Liara watched as he moved with precision and bravery, risking his own life to protect the palace and its people. When the last enemy ship retreated, the council cheered. Valera had survived the attack, thanks largely to Jarek's leadership. Soldiers and citizens alike hailed him as a hero. Liara descended to meet him in the central courtyard. Dust and debris covered his uniform, but he stood tall, breathing heavily yet composed. She stepped forward, feeling her emotions swell. "You have done more than anyone could have imagined," she said softly. "You protected my people, and you proved yourself to all of us." Jarek shook his head. "I only did what was right. Your people's safety matters more than recognition." Liara felt a strange ache in her chest, a mix of admiration, relief, and something deeper. She realized that the connection she felt was growing stronger, beyond explanation or reason. The prophecy's words, once distant, now seemed to echo in her heart. Perhaps you are the one the prophecy spoke of," she whispered. The words surprised even her. She had never allowed herself to believe they could be true. Jarek looked at her, eyes calm yet intense. "If that is so, princess, then I am honored. But my role is not just to fulfill prophecy. It is to stand beside you, to protect and guide you because I choose to." Liara's chest tightened. His words were simple, but they carried truth and weight. She could feel the sincerity in every gesture, every glance. She knew in that moment that the bond between them was real, even if the future was uncertain. That evening, as the stars shone over Valera, Liara and Jarek stood on the balcony together, watching the twin moons rise. They did not speak for long, yet the silence was comfortable. The sky over Valera darkened as the rogue fleet drew closer. Ships of black metal, sharp and fast, cut through the atmosphere with a menacing hum. The citizens below hurried to safe zones, and the palace guards prepared for what promised to be the most dangerous battle the planet had faced in decades. Princess Liara stood at the palace observation deck, her eyes fixed on the horizon. She had prepared for danger before, but this was different. The fleet was larger than any threat they had encountered, and the stakes were higher. Her people's lives rested on the decisions she and her allies made in the next few hours. Commander Jarek stood beside her, scanning the enemy formations. His uniform was slightly worn from previous skirmishes, but his posture remained steady. Princess, their approach is fast, but their coordination is poor. If we use the terrain and our defenses wisely, we can turn this in our favor. Liara nodded, her hands gripping the railing. We will need every soldier, every ship, and every strategy we have. Jarek turned to her with a calm intensity. We will also need trust. Trust in each other and in the people we lead. Valeera can survive this because we fight together. The palace council approved his plan, though some elders still expressed doubt. They had seen skilled alien commanders before, but few, if any, had relied on a human warrior to guide their defense. The doubts only strengthened Liara's resolve. She knew in her heart that Jarek was extraordinary, and that he might be the one the prophecy had spoken of. The battle began with the rogue fleet splitting into multiple waves, attempting to overwhelm Valeera's planetary defenses. Jarek moved with precision, issuing clear commands. He used the planet's mountains and valleys as natural barriers, guiding the Valyrian forces to ambush points and defensible positions. The first wave of enemy ships attempted a direct assault on the northern city. Jarek had already positioned artillery and shield barriers, and when the attackers arrived, they were met with a coordinated counterattack. Missiles and energy beams cut through the sky, forcing the enemy into retreat. Liara watched with a mix of fear and admiration. Every move Jarek made demonstrated skill and intelligence beyond what she had ever imagined. He was calm under pressure, thinking several steps ahead of the enemy, and always mindful of protecting her people. But the rogue fleet was persistent. A second wave appeared, this time targeting the palace itself. Liara's heart raced. The palace was a symbol of hope and authority for Valeera, and its fall could crush the morale of the defenders. Princess, stay here, Jarek ordered, though his eyes never left the approaching enemy. I will lead the defense outside. You will coordinate with communications and sensors. We cannot afford mistakes. Liara hesitated, but she trusted him. Be careful, she said softly. Jarek nodded, then leapt into the sky in his small command craft, joining the Valyrian fleet. From the observation deck, Liara watched as he maneuvered with precision, dodging enemy fire while giving orders. His strategic mind shone as he predicted the fleet's movements, using speed, terrain, and coordinated strikes to gain the upper hand. Meanwhile, the palace sent elite squads to protect the civilians, guided by Liara's instructions. She felt a strange sense of pride as her people followed her commands, inspired by Jarek's example. The connection she felt to him was undeniable, though she still struggled to comprehend its full meaning. Hours passed and the battle intensified. A group of rogue ships broke through the outer defenses, aiming directly at the palace gates. Panic spread among the guards, but Jarek arrived just in time. Leading a small squad of elite fighters, he intercepted the attackers. One of the rogue commanders, a large alien with metallic armor, charged at him. Jarek met the attack with skillful precision, deflecting strikes and countering with swift movements. In a final decisive move, he disarmed the enemy and secured the area, preventing the invaders from reaching the palace. Liara's breath caught as she watched. Every action Jarek took demonstrated courage, intelligence, and selflessness. She realized that the prophecy was not just words. It was reflected in the man before her. The warrior from the stars had arrived, and he was standing beside her, risking everything to protect her and her people. The rogue fleet, seeing their attacks fail repeatedly, tried a desperate maneuver, a direct assault on the palace's central energy core. If the core was destroyed, the city would lose power, shields, and defense systems. Liara's stomach tightened as alarms blared, but she knew what needed to be done. Jarek, she called over the communication channel, they are aiming for the core. You must stop them. I know, Princess, he replied. His voice was calm, almost reassuring. I will handle it. Jarek took a small strike craft, faster and more maneuverable than the standard ships, and headed straight for the enemy formation. He darted between attacks, using clever maneuvers to disable key ships. Explosions lit the sky as he led the rogue fleet into traps set by the Valyrian defenses. Finally, the remaining enemy ships, unable to break through, retreated into space. The battle was over. Valyria was safe. Soldiers cheered, citizens cried with relief, and the council members exchanged amazed glances. Liara descended to the central courtyard, her heart racing with both relief and anticipation. She saw Jarek stepping down from his craft, dust and debris covering his uniform, yet he stood tall, unshaken. "You did it," she said, her voice filled with awe. "You saved us all." Jarek shook his head. "We did it together. Your people fought bravely. You guided them well." Liara took a deep breath, her eyes meeting his. "But you risked everything for us." "For me?" Jarek's gaze softened. "It was the right thing to do. Your people's lives mattered more than my own." Liara felt something she could no longer deny. Her chest tightened, her heart raced, and her mind whispered what she had been afraid to believe. The prophecy, the signs, the courage he had shown, it all pointed to one truth. You are the one," she whispered, her voice trembling. "The prophecy, it is about you. You are my rightful husband." Jarek blinked in surprise but did not move away. Instead, he reached out and gently took her hand. "If that is so, Princess, then I am honored. But I do not stand here because of prophecy. I stand because I choose to. I choose to protect you, to fight beside you, and to be with you." Liara felt tears prick her eyes. The connection between them, once confusing and distant, was now clear and undeniable. Her heart recognized the truth long before her mind could fully accept it. She had found the warrior the prophecy had promised, the man who would stand by her side through danger and uncertainty. The palace council gathered around, witnessing the moment. Some elders nodded in approval, seeing the bond and understanding the strength it represented. Others were silent, but the fear and doubt that had lingered dissipated. Jarek's actions had proven more than words ever could. As the sun set on the battle-scarred city, Liara and Jarek stood together on the palace balcony, watching the twin moons rise. The air was calm, the stars shining brightly above. For the first time, Liara felt a deep certainty and peace within her heart. "Tomorrow," she said softly, "we begin a new chapter, not just for Valyria, but for us. Together." Jarek nodded, his hand still holding hers. "Together," he repeated. The night passed with quiet anticipation. Valyria had survived, but more importantly, two hearts had found each other in the chaos of war. The prophecy had been revealed not just in words, but in courage, action, and truth, and somewhere beyond the stars, the universe seemed to acknowledge the arrival of the human warrior and the alien princess, two souls bound by destiny, ready to face the challenges that awaited them side by side. The morning after the battle, Valyria was alive with renewed energy. Citizens emerged from shelters, cheering for the brave soldiers who had defended their homes. The air smelled of smoke and scorched earth, but also of hope and determination. Flowers were being replanted in the streets, and artisans repaired the damage from the previous day. Princess Liara walked among her people, her heart swelling with pride. She had watched the battle from the palace, guided her soldiers, and seen Commander Jarek risk everything for her planet. But now, standing among her citizens, she realized that the future was brighter than she had ever imagined. Jarek walked beside her, quiet but attentive. The people stared at him, some in awe, some in disbelief. Humans were rare in this sector, and even fewer had shown the courage and honor that Jarek displayed. Children whispered his name, elders nodded respectfully, and soldiers saluted him wherever he went. "Princess," Jarek said softly, "your people are remarkable. Their courage and spirit are inspiring." Liara smiled. "And so are you, Jarek. You have shown everyone what it means to protect, to lead, and to care. You have earned their trust. And mine." Jarek's eyes softened. "That is all I ever hoped to do." The palace council gathered in the great hall that afternoon. The elders, once skeptical of the human warrior, now looked at him with respect. Marin, Liara's chief advisor, stepped forward. Commander Jarek, he said, his voice formal yet approving, your actions have proven your honor, skill, and loyalty. You have protected the princess and the people of Valera, and in doing so you have earned our recognition. You have shown that courage and heart know no species. Liara stood beside Jarek, her heart full. She looked at the council and then at her people, who filled the hall watching silently but expectantly. I have also learned, she said, her voice steady, that prophecy can sometimes guide us to truths we do not yet understand. The warrior from the stars, the one who would stand beside me, has come. That warrior is Commander Jarek. A quiet gasp ran through the hall. Some elders whispered among themselves, and soldiers straightened their posture. The citizens outside cheered, sensing the importance of the moment. Jarek stepped forward, bowing slightly to Liara before addressing the assembly. I do not seek honor or recognition, he said. I came to Valera to protect and serve, not because of prophecy, but because it was the right thing to do. I stand here now willing to do everything I can to defend this planet and to stand beside Princess Liara if she allows it. Liara's chest tightened. Her heart had recognized the truth before her mind could fully accept it. She stepped closer to Jarek, taking his hand. I allow it, she said softly but firmly. I choose you, Jarek. Not because of prophecy alone, but because of the courage and heart you have shown. You are my rightful husband. A cheer erupted in the hall, louder than any battle cry. Soldiers, council members, and citizens all celebrated the union of the princess and the human warrior. Some wept openly, moved by the sincerity and bravery of the moment. Later, as the sun began to set, Liara and Jarek walked through the palace gardens. The twin moons rose, casting silver light across the flowers and fountains. Liara turned to Jarek, her eyes bright. Do you understand what this means? She asked, her voice filled with wonder. It means our lives are no longer just our own. We are partners, not only in heart but in duty. Together we will guide this planet and its people into the future. Jarek smiled. I understand, Princess, and I am ready. We will face every challenge together side by side. Liara felt a wave of relief and happiness. She had doubted the prophecy, doubted humans, and even doubted her own heart. But now, standing beside Jarek, she knew that the universe had brought them together for a reason. Their bond was real, tested in battle and strengthened by courage and respect. The following days were filled with preparations for rebuilding Valera. Jarek worked closely with the engineers and soldiers, integrating human strategies and technology with Valera's unique defenses. Bridges were repaired, walls strengthened, and new patrols organized. Everywhere he went, people admired his leadership and calm intelligence. Liara, meanwhile, focused on her role as a ruler. She observed Jarek, learning from his decisiveness and clarity. She realized that together they made a stronger team than either could be alone. Her heart swelled not only with love but with confidence in the future. One evening, as the twin moons reflected in the palace lake, Liara and Jarek stood together in quiet reflection. Do you ever regret coming here? She asked gently. Jarek shook his head. Never. Every moment has led to this. Every challenge, every risk, it was worth it to find you and to protect your people. Liara smiled, reaching for his hand. And I never believed I would feel this way. I thought humans were unpredictable, sometimes reckless. But you are unlike anyone I have ever known. Brave, wise, kind, and strong in ways I could never have imagined. Jarek looked into her eyes, his gaze steady. And you, Princess, are unlike anyone I have ever met. Strong, intelligent, and compassionate. You inspire me to be better every day. The moment was quiet but full of meaning. Words were not enough to capture the bond that had formed between them. Their hearts spoke a language older and deeper than prophecy or legend, a language of trust, respect, and love. As days turned into weeks, the people of Valera accepted Jarek fully. Children followed him around the palace, curious and admiring. Soldiers trained under his guidance, learning new techniques that made them stronger and more confident. The elders, once wary, now looked at him as a trusted advisor and protector. The union of Liara and Jarek became a symbol across the planet. It showed that courage and honor were not limited to one species, that love and partnership could transcend differences, and that destiny often revealed itself in unexpected ways. One evening, Liara and Jarek walked through the gardens hand in hand. The air was warm, the flowers fragrant, and the stars twinkled like tiny lanterns in the sky. Do you think the prophecy will continue to guide us? Liara asked. Jarek squeezed her hand gently. Perhaps, or perhaps it has already guided us here. Now it is up to us to write the next chapters. Together. Liara smiled, feeling a sense of peace she had never known before. Together, she echoed, letting the words settle in her heart. And so, life on Valera entered a new era. The princess and the human warrior ruled side by side, guiding their people with wisdom, courage, and compassion. They faced challenges, as all leaders do, but they faced them together, stronger because of their bond. Their story spread beyond Valera, across the stars, inspiring other worlds to see that courage, honor, and love could unite even the most different of beings. Humans and aliens alike looked at their example and learned that greatness was not defined by species, but by heart and action. Liara and Jarek, once separated by worlds and prophecy, were now united in purpose and love. Their partnership became legendary, not because of destiny alone, but because they had earned it, through bravery, respect, and an unshakable bond that no enemy, no danger, and no uncertainty could break. As the twin moons of Valera rose high in the sky, Princess Liara and Commander Jarek stood on the palace balcony, gazing at the horizon. Their hands were intertwined, their hearts united, and their minds ready for the future. Whatever comes, Liara said softly, we will face it together. Jarek smiled, his eyes reflecting the light of the moons. Together, he agreed, knowing that no matter what challenges awaited them, they would meet them as one. And so a new chapter began, not just for Valera, but for two worlds joined by courage, destiny, and the unbreakable bond of love and trust. The human warrior and the alien princess had found each other, and the galaxy would never forget the story of their union.